Hey guys, just wanted to do my reaction video to Black Lightning. Season 1, Episode 5, and then the devil brought the plague, the Book of the Green Light. And my god, is that a mouthful. So, the major developments that happened, last episode were Khalil found out that he couldn't walk, that he can no longer walk. And we have Tobias' sister came into town and basically was gonna help him, I guess, act as like not as an advisor, but like a partner in his goals of trying to bring down Black Lightning, because basically his credibility was threatened, at least by Lady Eve, now that because once word got out that he was still alive. And Jennifer's realizing there are consequences to using her powers, like she can legitimately hurt somebody when she tried to beat up some drug dealers and almost killed them. And now I guess it's a bit more of a struggle about whether or not, I guess when she was asking Grace, if you can have the power to, I guess, like, punish, they basically just go after wrongdoers or something like that. Like, what, like, should she? And Gamby's still being shady. He covered up the fact that even if he didn't know it was Jennifer, knocking out all those guys harassing Grace, that he didn't say anything to Jefferson. And so I'm just hoping to get some answers to figure out what the hell is going on.
Put your guns away. All right, easy now. Call for an ambulance. This kid is definitely high on green light. And next time, try using a taser first.
Yes, sir.
You're not supposed to be here. You're supposed to be gone forever. I need a new suit. Only thing I'm gonna measure you for is a coffin. Serum pumping through your veins that's keeping you from aging doesn't mean that you and your sister are gonna have a happy ending. You think they told you everything before they gave it to you? What they didn't tell me, I've already figured out. Another thing I figured out is
9 kids, all of whom displayed enhanced abilities, suddenly disappeared.
You know what? I've been waiting to knock you out since the 6th grade.
Damn.
My sources tell me David Poe, the editor of the Freeland Gazette, canceled a series of articles which would have exposed the vaccine as the source of those enhanced abilities. The reporter was Alvin Pierce.
Grandpa.
He was murdered a week later. His murder was never solved.
Leto was Tobias's right-hand man. If he is still around, then Tobias is still around.
it's certainly possible.
No, it's not certainly possible. If Tobias is still out there dealing green light, I have to have him. If that means going through Joey Toledo, even better. Jefferson!
What?
Right? And I was wondering if I could ask you some questions.
Well, that depends on what you want to ask.
I wanted to ask about the expose on those missing kids.
I have a story I need to work on for the morning edition.
Wishful thinking, Inspector.
You've been causing a lot of problems.
And you ain't changed much.
Change is overrated.
I'm here to help, man.
I don't need your help.
Yeah, you do. Just like before. Maybe more this time. That green light drug is out of control.
It's been so many overdoses, the first responders started carrying naloxone. Are you serious?
Hey, I'm old school. It's safer. Consider this the black signal.
But pretend like ain't nothing happened.
No, I'm not saying
Ladies, I understand you're upset. I really do. And as a woman and a mother, I know there is nothing more important than the safety of our kids.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I don't know what did or didn't happen, but trust me, we will take full responsibility for our daughter's actions. Please.
The hell is
Well, I guess we should get going. Thank you, Lynn. And Mr. Pierce, thank you.
Thank you. It was a pleasure meeting you.
I'm surprised they're willing to get out of there. Damn.
2 girls. They both run for Booker T.
2 girls? I mean, Lana didn't tell us that part. You weren't hurt at all?
No, you taught us how to defend ourselves.
Jeff, this is not a good thing.
What's this?
I saved this for over 30 years. Just holding on to an old friend, I guess. Leave it to be true today. They're watching.
Wait, who's watching?
I'm sure if you find out, you'll get killed.
Stayed, huh? I didn't leave in the middle of the night like your damn mama did. Instead, I fed you. And I clothed you.
Why did you stay? So you can have someone to torture, to beat on, to blame for your failures. Or was it about collecting money from the state? Because it certainly wasn't about love.
And that's gonna be nothing. Told me they had all already. Had me down.
Okay, so this episode, I say it's definitely one of my favorites because I feel like it definitely nudged the plot forward more so than it already did. But I think it opened up more. I don't really answer it answered some questions, but opened up a lot of them. Because I mean, at first I thought Alvin Pierce was just killed out of because Tobias wanted revenge for Alvin outing him as a corrupt politician. But now it seems that there's more to the story, and based on Jennifer's investigation, that apparently that and is talking. I don't know what. I'm not sure what the ASA is supposed to be, and apparently Gambit was involved in some kind of was apparently involved in some project which gave Tobias like slowed aging. I'm wondering if it's the same if like a similar procedure that that I guess maybe Tobias and Jefferson went through a similar went through the same experiment, part of like the same experiment, and maybe I don't know. I guess like this experiment is kind of like their version of the particle. The effects of the particle has a similar effect to that of the particle accelerator on Flash, where it gave people this different enhanced different array of abilities, and so. And so they could have been part, and so maybe they were both subjects on, they're both like subjected to the procedure, and maybe that's how it would be a great way to like tie it into I guess more of Jefferson's history with Tobias. I don't know, like I said, I don't know if this is actually something that happened in the comics or there's something they're just taking liberties with, and it seemed like Jennifer's now. I'm surprised like how soon Jennifer's starting to display powers, because it seems like just breaking the wrist might be a sign. And Jefferson asking about how she came out of it unscathed, kind of implies that maybe just more just they were just taught to defend themselves well, and maybe they're maybe her powers are manifesting too, because they're both supposed to become like superheroes as well, and. I don't know, the whole thing about, fighting doesn't solve everything, and, she was in the wrong, and that she was in the wrong for what she did. I mean, I'll give them, like, breaking the girl's wrist was probably a little much, but at the same time, it's like, it was too It's like, how are you supposed to like walk away from it? It's like she got shoved, and like there was that, and they were threatened to beat, they threatened to like kick her ass, and it was I mean, it was, and it's like you can't just like walk, and it's like they were gonna, and they were gonna like and it's like they were gonna like live up to that threat. Like it wasn't like an empty threat, and so it's like, how do you like walk away? How do you like walk away from that? And it's like, because they weren't gonna let her walk away from that. So I just felt like the argument fell kind of flat, especially when Jefferson gets so. Especially since one, Jefferson was secretly on her side, even though and she only went along with the pun, and only went along with the get her getting grounded because that was more because of Lynn, and also the fact you can tell like how how he like how much like how heated he gets, and is like ready to just like and like throw any kind of restraint and caution out the window when it comes to his father's killers. Joey Toledo being the man directly responsible on Tobias's orders for killing Alvin. So, and maybe that's part of the reason that Gambi was covering up the fact that he was back in Freeland. Like, I don't know. Like what kind of deal they had, other than it just involved Tobias and Joey leaving town, like, and then the editor being like so scared senseless that he buried the story about the whole experiment after Alvin's murder, and like I guess like finding some kind of vial in that safe, which is maybe what the green light is derived from, since considering it's like giving it gives like any of the users like super strength and almost going, and it's like it has like the same effect on them as the Mirakuru from Arrow. So maybe it's like the compound can be just as like enhanced upon, for lack of better terms, and maybe that was like a sample of whatever kind of chemical compound was used in whatever experimentation that Alvin was investigating. So maybe Jefferson and Tobias were affected. It's like maybe they'll bring in new characters, say they were also affected by it, and I'm like how they kind of like fleshing out Tobias more and more, and his backstory about having to deal with ridicule for his albinism, and his dad being abusive towards him, and being like his physical and emotional punching bag because of, and he's toward both he and his sister, but especially him because of his albinism, and he was like ashamed of him, and it's hard to like feel sorry. I mean, it's really hard to feel sorry for Tobias's father, and Tobias is breaking his back and leaving him to die because of that horrible treatment, and he didn't seem, and it's like he really didn't seem to love his kids. It was just more like he was just taking care of them out of just necessity and just to collect government money. So I mean, it's kind of easy to see how it's like they turn out to be kind of easy to see, like, I'm not saying like everyone's gonna turn out to be criminal from having abusive parents, but it's like I can see how that can be like I can see how it could be a catalyst, and I'm wondering like how much of Jefferson's like headaches and is gonna play a factor in throughout the later episodes, and maybe this will be like almost like his Achilles heel. Because I mean, something like that you feel like something like that is like pretty. You could easily become a pretty like overpowered character. So the fact that it's like his kind of kryptonite factor now, and maybe play a role in how like he's basically beating up like non superpowered criminals, and this is probably the one way that it like evens the playing field, and you know, raises the stakes a little bit and puts obviously Black Lightning in a more vulnerable position. I mean, again, this is like another show that's apparently going on hiatus until after the Olympics and is not coming back until the same night as the Flash. So I'm also be covering Legends of Tomorrow and maybe whatever, you know, trailers are trending on YouTube that I tend to like get privy to. But I am planning on going to see Black Panther this weekend. Hopefully, I didn't get tickets yet, so fingers crossed. I'm trying to go to a matinee showing, so fingers crossed I can get. There's still tickets left for that. But yeah, those are my thoughts on tonight's episode. What do you guys think of it? Leave your thoughts in the comments down below. If you like this video, like, share, and subscribe, and I will talk to you guys soon. Take care.